But it
Got
has
that button. Sorry.
that's okay. It's been such an important part for me in my journey of like through ecology and finding my sense of belonging in the field. So I'm really happy that I get to support the Seeds program with Fred and Suhei. Suhei, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Suhey Ortega. I use she, her pronouns. I am a new staff member and super excited. I used to intern with ESA in their diversity program. So my background is really just connecting with people and jumpstarting their career in the environmental sector and really excited to see what y'all are up to.
All right. And some of you might know me. My name is Fred Abbott. I'm the diversity program manager at the Ecological Society of America, and I've had the fortune of running the Seeds program for the last 12 years. I'm really excited because a lot of the things that we're seeing now are like institutions are back to post-pandemic and students, organizations on campus are back to being organized and hopefully will fund it. So we're going to do a little check-in for our chapters, but in the meantime, we're actually going to jump into our chapter grants.
Absolutely. We'll go right into chapter grants. But before we do that, Fred, do you want to share about some of the exciting things that Seeds has been up to this fall?
I forgot that you had that for me in the agenda. Yes, of course. Some of you might be familiar faces because we have had a really busy fall. Starting at the ESA annual meeting in August, where we hosted 30 plus students in Portland. And then in September, we hosted the very first national field trip with the Black Ecologist section in Houston, where we learned about urban ecology. In October, we actually hosted another national field trip in Konza Prairie Biological Station, which is actually in Kansas. Some of you participated. I see some familiar faces. And then last but not least, next week, we're actually hosting our Seeds leadership meeting in upstate New York. And so these events have kept us pretty busy, which is the reason why we're kind of delayed to opening up the chapter grants. The other thing is I'm very excited that we're now working as a team. So having Jazz and Suhey within the chat like changes a lot for the program and what we are available to offer. Just know that we are currently really well funded. We're looking for creative ideas to fund and support our students. And then we're excited for 2024, which there's a lot, but I'll leave that for the end of the call.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So just to give you all an overview of what today's call will be, it's an hour. So thank you for joining from all across the country. We're going to start with some brief introductions where we'll just go around. Y'all will unmute, share like who you are and where you're calling in from. That'll be cool. Give us an idea to take attendance and also just see which chapters are represented. After that, I'll walk you through the chapter grants, which is what Fred just alluded to. It's so exciting that we have lots of funding to give each like a chapter that applies depending on your projects up to $1,000, or if there's a collaboration up to 5,000. So it's super exciting that there's ways we can fund some of the really cool things you all want to do. After the chapter grants piece, we'll do a breakout room, give you all some time to process together. We'll come back into the main room. Fred will lead us through the chapter reports, what that looks like to keep your chapter in good academic standing. And then after that, we will do a couple more breakout rooms and close. So to start, I know that was a lot, but just real quick, I would love to just hear from you all a really brief introduction, kind of like we did, who you are, where you're from, and I'll drop that in the chat. Okay, so from the chapter leaders, who you are, what you're up to. Do I have a brave volunteer who's willing to go first? And we'll popcorn. So for example, if Eddie starts, Eddie, you might go, and then you might pick Sam, and so on. I'm gonna get my dog a bone so he has something to do while we're on this call.
Yeah, I can start us off. Hi, everyone. Great to meet you. I'm Nathan Wolslegel. I am a graduate student in Natural Resource Management program at Salish Kootenai College here in Pablo, Montana. And I am the president and vice president of our Seeds Ecology Club chapter. I'm very happy to meet y'all. What we've been up to lately, we are planning a bird, bats and bees box workshop that is open to the public. So we're constructing bird, bat, and bee boxes to create good habitat here on campus for differing species of each. And it's open to the public, to the community. We have some really cool PowerPoint presentations as well to educate the public on different bird species, bats, and bees, and the challenges they're facing as ecosystem changes occur around here. Yeah.
So Nathan, by popcorning, you mean you can name somebody else?
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I
Sorry.
missed the part. I'm gonna popcorn Grace.
Okay, hi, I'm Grace. I'm the president of Seeds chapter at UNC Chapel Hill. And what I've been up to with Seeds, I was with Fred and An and Alana in Kanza in October. And then as a chapter, we're having a speaker this month from Duke University, who is a Lumbee tribe member. And he's going to be talking about Indigenous peoples' contribution to ecology for Indigenous Peoples Month. And I'll popcorn to An.
Okay, hi, I'm An. I'm currently zooming in from Northfield, Minnesota, which is approximately like 45 minutes south of the Twin Cities, so Minneapolis and St. Paul. I'm the president of my chapter, but we just got founded, so there's a lot of work to be done. So we haven't been up to a lot, but my department, the Environmental Studies department, has been trying to work with students to get them summer internships and build their resume if they haven't had any opportunities to start that yet. As Grace said, I was in Kanza with a couple other people in this Zoom, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'll popcorn to Balana.
Hi everyone, I'm Balana. I'm calling in from California, so definitely not evening for me right now. Nice to meet some new people, and I recognize a couple people. Hi, Sam and Jordan from Michigan trip, and Grace and An. Nice to see you guys again. I'm the treasurer and grant writer for my Seeds chapter. It's my presence at this meeting. And right now we're doing kind of a speaker series right now for the fall quarter. So we've had a couple of the researchers on campus talk to us because we're hoping winter quarter, we're gonna encourage students to do their own research. So kind of introducing them like what it looks like. And then we're trying to collaborate with, it's kind of a regional trip in the spring, depending on how the grant goes, but yeah. I realize this is a popcorn thing, so I'm gonna just popcorn Sam because she's unmuted right now.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Sam. I am president of the UL Seeds chapter. There's a University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And this semester we've kind of been doing a lot of recruitment with having researchers from on campus come give presentations. Actually, this weekend coming up, we have an urban farm installation event happening. We're going to be helping one of the community gardens out here install some new beds. That way we can kind of have some more food availability and stuff. That this area where we're installing, it's actually pretty has a pretty dense population of homelessness. So hopefully that's kind of, we're trying to hit the community outreach point with that. And I think as far as what we're thinking for research, we've got lots of wetlands here in Louisiana, and there's a lot of push for it, a lot of focus on it. We've had a lot of government agencies kind of reach out to us and are willing to come speak to our members to tell them about opportunities there are in that field. So I'm pretty excited to kind of get that ball rolling. But I don't know about, everyone else across the country, but the spring is basically where we have our opportunity to get that get the outdoors events under our belt. Let's see. I'm gonna popcorn to Moses.
Hi, I am the president of the UC Berkeley Seeds chapter. I'm an undergrad, and our Seeds chapter this semester has mainly been focusing on recruitment, also planning a couple career panels for students who are interested in attending grad school in fields of like ecology focus. So that's what we've been up to. I'll popcorn it to Alonzo.
Hi, my name is Alonzo. I'm from Arkansas, but I'm calling in from Emory University in Atlanta, from our Seeds chapter here. I'm the DEIJ chair. So I'm focusing on like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Something that we're going to do next week actually is that we're co-hosting an event with Emory Pride, to talk about queer ecology, which is like this new, not necessarily new, but like relatively new considering how science works, field of ecology that focuses on a lot of like the intersectionality between queerness and how I think nature helps with mental health and a lot of different things, and some other knowledges that like a lot of ecologists who weren't out back in the day but maybe are now, have contributed to that knowledge. So it's really interesting. But I'm going to learn more about it as it gets closer. And yeah, we're also trying to, the reason I'm here is that we're planning a joint field trip with Agnes Scott, who's another college here in Atlanta, another Seeds chapter there. We're planning a joint trip to the Georgia coast. So that's why we're here at this meeting, to hopefully find out more about how to write a grant for that. So really excited. Popcorn to Janelle.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janelle. I'm the co-president at the University of Colorado Boulder. And this semester, we've done a lot of things. A couple of weeks ago, we had an ecology career panel. And then next week, we are going to do a collaboration with an organization for the government that works in preservation in the area, which is the Open Space and Mountain Parks. And yeah, we are here because we are planning also a group trip, and then also just to hear all the check-ins. So I'm going to popcorn to my Vice President, Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan Eichhorn. I'm also from CU Boulder Seeds. Something else we recently did, our chapter, was we did an entomology night where Janelle actually taught us about lots of different kinds of insects, and that was really fun. And we just kind of had a chill hangout and got to learn about all sorts of different stuff. But yeah. Oh, I'll popcorn Eddie.
Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm zooming in from Lawrence, Kansas, today, and I'm the president of the University of Kansas's Seeds chapter. Something we did, we're planning right now actually is a tree trek at the KU field station, and it's gonna be an educational event for students about the native trees in the area, so we can qualify KU as a part of Tree Campus Higher Ed. So really excited about that. Oh, and I'll popcorn to Ava.
I don't think I was on the call.
Yeah. How about Audrey?
Yeah. My name is Audrey. I am the outreach representative for the branch of Madison, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin-Madison. This is our first year back. Originally, it started in 2019, 2020, and a lot of things happened that made it so it couldn't work out during that time. So this is our first year back. So it's been kind of a lot of scrambling to get things together, to get like events started. We reached out to a lot of ecologists in the Madison area to give talks and to give career advice. So we've had, I think, 3 guest speakers so far. And then something we're doing on Saturday is there's a nature area called Picnic Point, and we're going to do a species ID game where people use iNaturalist to like look at different species and to collect data about what's all there at Picnic Point, and we're giving a prize afterwards. So yep, I would say this year we're just kind of concentrated on getting people involved and getting members, and we're kind of like slowly adding things. So it's kind of a fun process. Everybody is new to it. So yeah. I will popcorn to Ximena. So I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right, but
No, that's okay, don't worry. So I'm Jimena. I'm from Environmental Advocate Seats at El Paso, Texas. I'm actually here with Sebastian. He's our vice president. He's waving right now. And some of the stuff we've been doing is like workshops, like how to apply to internships or how to build a resume. We also had a little birding, like how to start birding workshop. And the fun event we did recently was a thrift swap. Since it's getting cold, some people might want to, change some of their jackets for others instead of having to buy a new one. So yeah, that's what we've been doing pretty much. And I'm gonna pass it to Rachel.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Rachel Stark. I'm the president of the Florida Atlantic University chapter in Boca Raton, Florida. Right now we're working on a few things. Last semester we received a few species of native Florida orchids, and our university has a really awesome 90-acre preserve, which has a few different trails. So we were able to plant them on the trails, and then right now we're working on creating a few maps to show where the orchids are so that our students could go on like a little native Florida orchid walk on our campus.
Thank you, Rachel.
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Go
ahead.
I'll let Sam go next.
I think the popcorn is done.
Yeah, I think we're
So thank you everybody for those introductions. It's really awesome to see what all these chapters have been up to. Oh, sorry, Charlie.
Okay.
I didn't see.
Sorry
Sorry.
about that. Do you mind if I just go really quick? Sorry for interrupting. I'm Charlotte. I'm zooming in from Cornell University. And I just we kind of just got founded I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And so right now I'm kind of just working on recruiting and I just made an Instagram, and I think it's been really helpful to hear everything you guys have been doing to kind of get ideas. I definitely plan on doing a few things with our lab of ornithology here, which is a great resource. And also I'm pretty involved with our running club here. And a lot of those people are kind of outdoorsy, sciencey kind of people. And so I think I can steal a lot of recruiting from that and yeah, things like that. So, but it's been great to hear everything that you guys have had to say. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. I'm glad you spoke up. It's so cool to hear what everyone's working on, from East Coast to West Coast to Southern parts of the United States to the northern parts. We're all over. And I hope getting to hear what other folks are doing gives you some ideas of one, what you might try doing at your chapter for the rest of the year, and two, how grants might play into this, right? So without further ado, Fred, I think we should go ahead and move on to the chapter grants. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. The one thing that I would say is if anybody's on the call that, by the way, hasn't been added to the Slack group, because I think that these ideas should definitely be posted on the Slack group where all our leaders should be active members. And again, just sharing what the schedule is going to look like for each of your chapters. And as you can tell, a lot of great information is shared on these calls. So we do have a group for that. So I'm actually going to post that link in the chat real quick. So if you haven't had a chance, you can join. But yeah, chapter grants. Let's fund this.
Yep. All right, let's do it. And then Fred, just an agenda update. I'm thinking we'll do chapter grants and then we'll go right into chapter reports since we already had our first check-in.
All right, let's do that.
Okay, awesome. All righty, folks. So just a couple of important dates to remember. Your chapter grants are going to be due on November 30th. So they are coming up. And then I'm also putting the link in the chat for where you can find that. So keep that open. For today, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can look through it together, but that might be a helpful thing to open up and keep in another tab. As I'm going through this, feel free to drop any questions in the chat, and then Fred or Suhei can go ahead and respond as we go. So let's take a look at our chapter grants. Okay, so how do we fund all of these awesome ideas? I think the screen share is loading. Perfect. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see my screen okay? Yay, awesome, thank you. So chapter grants. Like we said at the beginning, we're gonna offer up to $1,000 for individual chapter projects and up to $5,000 for collaborative chapter projects. That's kind of the big thing to note, how you might budget your expenses. One thing we look for in all of our chapter grant applications is making sure anything that we're spending our seeds money on does align with the mission. And that's what's in bold here, to diversify and advance the ecology profession through opportunities that stimulate and nurture the interest and leadership of underrepresented students in ecology. That's so important because that's what sets Seeds apart from just like any old ecology club, right? We're committed to advancing inclusion and equity in our field. And we hope that as we fund your chapters, your work spearheads that mission, and collectively across the nation, we can create a lot of change. Okay, so a couple of things I want to point out. Here, the Seeds chapter project grant proposal deadlines, it's a hyperlink. That guidelines document is so helpful when completing your application because it walks you through all of the different steps. The other important thing I want to share with you is your Seeds chapter must be active and in good standing. Basically, long story short, what that means is complete the chapter report that Fred's going to tell you about in just a moment, and most likely you'll be good to go. So chapter report and grant deadline, you'll notice those deadlines are just a day apart. So they're meant to like two wings of a butterfly, right? Like you get the chapter report done, you apply for your grant, and your whole package hopefully puts you in a good position for the next 6 months. Okay, so new chapters must be established for at least 30 days prior to the grant proposal deadline. Fred, I wanted to ask you, we have some folks from new chapters that were just onboarded this week. I would love it if they could still get
Yeah, we
mine.
do have some flexibility. The other
Good.
big important factor that we need to mention, by the way, is that this is the grant period for this term, for this academic term. So the first deadline for the chapter grants is going to be November 30th. Actually for spring, we'll open up for chapter grants again, hopefully earlier in the spring, to give you guys more chances to fund those programs. So if you're creating ideas for next term, just know that we can also do those next term.
Thank you, Fred. That's such an important thing that I missed, right? So you've got 2 opportunities this year to get funding. Always a good idea to submit for this first round, because in case your application is rejected, we'll have an opportunity to give you some feedback, so that way in the spring you're guaranteed your money. Okay, so what we can fund, basically everything you all talked about was amazing. What we won't fund is things that support the activities of individuals. We're really meant to be like a community-based program. So whatever encourages like your Seeds Club or outreach to the community or through K-12. But as opposed to like one student's research project, right? Maybe you can have a group of students working on a project. It's a key difference. On the bottom of this page, they have examples of chapter projects. I also think you heard on this call some great examples of projects as well. But they can go from chapter collaborations like a joint field trip to a BioBlitz for your community, or a research panel, or like, a graduate student panel, a career panel. Maybe you want funding to bring snacks or something, so to help people come, or I'm thinking local field trips. I know when I was in Seeds, our Seeds grants helped fund our annual camping trip, and that was really helpful. So all of this information is here. What I want to walk you all through is the application itself, so you know what the pieces are. You're going to go all the way to the bottom of the page where it says click here. Okay, so the first stuff is all really self-explanatory. Your chapter name, institution, blah, blah, blah. Here you're going to write the total grant amount that you're requesting. So maybe you're requesting $500 to offset the cost of 20 kids going camping. That would go there. This piece right here where it says grant director, that is your faculty advisor. And so I'm really glad you all are on this call and you're getting started the beginning of November, because there's actually some questions on the application your faculty advisor needs to answer. So if we're waiting until week 3 of November, right before the deadline, maybe the faculty advisors with family over Thanksgiving, they may not be able to do their part. So the sooner you can get this to them, the better. So that'll be grant director goes with your faculty advisor's information. If you have 2 faculty advisors, pick one. The co-director could be president, could be treasurer, whoever it is that's applying. And you'll just write like your position here where it says title position. Okay, and then abstract. So just like a scientific paper has an abstract, likewise for this grant, we're going to ask you to do a short summary, less than 300 words, that summarizes your projects. Now, the details of your projects are going to come here in the project description page. I know it sounds scary. It says no more than 5 pages. Like, whoa, what are you supposed to write? I'll go into that in a second. It's not too much. You also include the budget and budget narrative. And actually, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and transition to the guidelines because I think that'll help. But before I go there, the faculty advisor commitment, that last piece is the part your advisor has to do. So one thing y'all can do is like send them an email with these questions and then copy and paste this stuff here when you're ready to submit. Because Fred, unless I'm wrong, the application doesn't save if you start it and walk away, right? No, okay.
No, unfortunately, we don't want to give our users yet another login to remember. So we've kept it open. So the application must be filled out all at once. So as Jazz mentioned, it's really important that you get those, like that commitment from your faculty advisor. By the way, the reason behind all of this for the faculty advisor is that it's the challenge sometimes for us to actually even give institutions money sometimes. And it's usually a lot easier to go through that process with the faculty and an actual university employee rather than a student. And that's the reason why.
Thank you. That's some important context. Okay, so I wanted just to flip over here. This is the SEEDS chapter grant proposal guidelines. Please, as you're doing this, you can print this out or leave it on the computer, but do go through this because it lays it all out for you. So the abstract, the project description piece, it's broken into like, kind of like when you write an essay, like there's different paragraphs. Likewise, for the project description, there are different sections that will need statement of need. And there's like, what's the purpose of the project and how does it support the mission of SEEDS? Answer that question directly. Because when we're evaluating these, we have our guidelines and we're looking at the applications. So you might say like, our project supports the missions of SEEDS by. So the more obvious and clear you make it and restate the question, I think it'll make the committee that reviews the grants, it'll make it a lot easier for them to be like, okay, like they did all the right thing. For goals, objectives, and outcomes, that might be like, we want to take 20 students camping because in May, because like time spent outdoors furthers our love for ecology. And we're going to visit this research site while we're there. So be clear, SMART goals. And if you haven't done them, there's a little bit, there's a hyperlink here and you've got a clue. YouTube's also a great resource in case anyone is new to this kind of goal setting. Methods and procedures. So this isn't a science experiment, but we do want you to be really clear. Like part of giving students and chapters this money is we're looking to make sure that there's like a clear, I guess you could say like action plan, right? So maybe the money comes in December, you're having a movie night with David Attenborough documentaries before winter break. Okay, so what do you need? Like maybe on the 2nd week of December, y'all are doing your Costco trip. 3rd week, you're inviting faculty, or maybe it's a community event. So just try to break it down. It seems like a lot of work up front, but it makes the work easier later when you're executing the project. Okay, and then the other piece I want to highlight here is the budget and budget narrative. For those of us who are undergrads, like this can be maybe sometimes the first time you're making a budget like this if you haven't applied for a grant before. Great experience for if you ever go to graduate school and you have to do more grant applications. One of the things you'll do here is just the categories. So like gas or materials, what it is and the expenses to the nearest dollar. So give it your best estimate based on like gas prices now. We don't expect you to know what they'll be in like 4 months. There's always some room afterwards when you're doing the grant report to like see, okay, what we expected, what actually happened. But this part is really important because this explains like where the money is going. Okay, and then the last thing I want to share with you are the appendices. They're optional. If you want to submit evidence that your chapter submitted the annual report, you can just link or upload your last year's annual report. If you're a new chapter, that doesn't apply to you. And this is optional because sometimes we know like with officer turnover, like there can be gaps. So you may not have these things, but it would make our job easier if you just let us know if you're in good standing. And then also special projects supporting information. This note on special projects is important because I feel like sometimes if someone gets ambitious and like, okay, we're going to put this art installation at the community park, great, but then we need buy-in from the places that are going to maintain it. Or if you all are buying like shovels for your research project, okay, but then do those shovels stay in the club? Do they get are there other ones that could be used? Just kind of like little things like that where we want to make sure that what is being purchased, like, again, it's for the collective, right? So no free shovels for anybody. Okay, y'all, I went through that fast, but I want to be respectful of like questions because this information is available, but it's super important to me that you all have a chance to ask any questions that you might have at this time. So I'm going to stop the share. Can I get a thumbs up if you're like, okay, cool, I know where to find that information? Okay, awesome. Give me a thumbs up, middle, or down at like how you feel about the application process. Oh man, you are awesome. Okay, cool. I hope to see all 15 of these applications come in then at the end of November. Okay, I'm teasing you. I really do hope.
I'm actually going to add a few notes to that, especially for the end on those considerations of which projects and how we use our funding. So take, for example, if you were to take a boat trip, we will ask you about liability. Who's covering that insurance if something happens? That goes on with rental vehicles, rental equipment, kayaks, anything that you might think. Again, we want it to be protected. These are safe spaces for a reason. We do have insurance coverages, and your institutions do as well for recognized student programs. So things like this is why we want the faculty involved in the process, but we really try to make this application as easy as possible, giving all these administrative constraints that we do have as a national program too. So it involves 50 states and territories. Cool things that, we look forward to. We're always looking forward to collaborations. Again, we want the $5,000 grants, not the $1,000 ones, because we want chapters within the same region to be able to collaborate and do joint events, host, their own field trips. We'll have regional field trips as well in the upcoming terms. But the reality is, ideally, we want students to be the leaders of that. These are things that are resume builders that go into your CV, your leadership at your college campus is incredibly important as you pursue the future of your career, whether in science or related fields. So all of these things, all of these activities that you guys are hosting and organizing and coordinating and managing should be things that you're definitely keeping track of and putting in your CVs for your professional development. So we want to support that by giving you the chance to apply for funding at the national level with a grant that is managed pretty much in the same professional way that NSF would. We have to. We're trying to give you the leadership skills in order to pursue this in science, and grant writing is a skill that every scientist needs, how to effectively communicate our ideas into paper and then ask for money for it. So thank you, Jazz, for walking through that. If anybody has any questions. So I know for a fact that there might be a little bit of concern as to what is active in good standing. And for this reason, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and jump into what our chapter reports look like.
Thank you. I think I saw one student unmute. Jimena, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, I had one question. So if somebody's doing a collaboration and the budgeting plan and everything is going to be pretty much the same, could we work on it together, and should we submit separately, or how would that work?
One institution would take the lead as far as funding, how to support this. I prefer to write one check to one institution and not have to split that up amongst multiples. But the collaboration must be outlined in the project, and just know that that's what piques our interest. If we see collaborations, if we see money that is being used, think about these projects. This is important, right? Because this is the whole scope of what these grants are intended for. Think about these projects not from the value of you and like your 5, 6, 20 members in your chapter. Think about the impact. So if you're going to ask for $1,000, how many people is that $1,000 going to reach? You know, what's my audience? I want to do community engagement. Cool. How many people are you planning to come to that event? If it's going to be an event and I'm going to spend $1,000 for 10 people, and then I have another application where $1,000 is going to go to 300 people, tell me where I should put those $1,000 towards. It's going to be for 300 people. It's an easy answer. So keep that in mind when developing these ideas. We want to see 10 people be able to go on a field trip, you know, and have multiple nights of engagement in our science. And like, we know what that builds. We've been doing it for 27 years. But when it comes to like what we fund, it's the impact. Think about the impact. Always think about the impact of your science, whether it be social, economic, budget, like, you know, business, whatever finances, whatever the field is, think about the impact of that science and put that on a piece of paper.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other hands or concerns? Questions are encouraged.
So our chapter started this semester, so we don't have a chapter report. So if we wanted to apply in the spring, would we just skip the chapter report in the appendices like you were talking about?
No, we want the chapter report. I'm going to take a few minutes now and walk you through what that looks like and what you need to be in good standing. Because I know for a fact that some of you mentioned chapters that haven't been submitting reports in a long time. Even though we know that you're active, which is the craziest part, right? We want to be able to measure that impact and be able to connect. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay with everybody. And I'll walk you through what exactly we mean by chapter reports. And it's 2 parts. So let me share this real quick. Boom. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody can see my screen? Sweet. All right. So don't worry about this mumbo jumbo at the top. That's just me as website admin, where I can edit all this stuff. But here's our Seeds chapter reports. So Seeds chapter reports are actually extremely important for us because, again, we want to measure the impact of our program at a national scale. So there are 2 things that we're looking at. We're looking at a roster. How many members do we have? What are those membership roles, whether you're just a member? And again, we don't charge any membership dues or anything like that. We're a completely free program to enroll. You don't have to be an ecology or environmental sciences student to participate in Seeds. Some of our most amazing Seeds leaders on campuses come from other non-science programs. I can mention a few. The idea behind this is to create a community within your campus that actually, well, nerds out about our science or is interested in learning a little bit more about ecology. And we know that we, as leaders in our fields already, are very passionate about what we do, and we want to share it with more people. That being said, our Seeds chapters, again, we want to measure the impact of our Seeds chapters. So first and foremost, the first report that you're due, which is December 1st, as it's stated right here on the website. By the way, if you're wondering how to navigate to this site, if you're at a homepage, we have all the Seeds program, basically all the components of the Seeds program have their own menu options. But under chapters, you're going to see here at the end, chapter reports. Click on that and it takes you straight to this website. So again, chapter reports are divided into 2 parts. The first part is going to be due December 1st. You click on the link right here and it takes you to the application. I'm going to open that in a minute. But again, to be able to have the roster, here's an important administrative thing that is not on the website, but I do need to mention on the call because I do need to change this. I noticed this is one of the changes that is happening. Funny enough, due to the European Union and email permissions, unfortunately, last year we had a roster of over 900 Seeds chapter members across the US. And I would have loved to email all of you about all of these experiences that we hosted last year. Unfortunately, I need email authorization from your chapter members to receive notifications from us via email. Your privacy is protected, and rightfully so. So we want to make sure that we have that. This is a tricky situation because now I'm going to ask chapter leaders to be able to, like, where chapters, if they sign up on the roster and give their email, they're authorizing Seeds at the national level to basically send them email communications. It's legal. So I'm still debating on this, but at least we have the roster. Whether we can use the roster to actually email all of the chapter members, that's a tricky thing. But you as chapter leaders, hopefully we have the authorization to email you when you sign up with our chapters. But ideally, we want you to be able to share that information with all of your chapter members. So we'll be emailing you. Please forward those emails to the rest of your chapter members in the meantime. Anyways, the first roster is due December 1st, or sorry, the child roster report is due December 1st. What does that look like? We try to keep everything that we do in Seeds as simple as possible. Believe it or not, even online application forms are still very big barriers into our science. We recognize that, and we try to make it as simple as we possibly can. So the roster would have the academic year, the chapter name, institution, all that other good stuff to contact the chapters. It would have the name of the student representative with their email. Phone number is not required, by the way. And then you would upload the chapter spreadsheet. And again, you don't need all the information that is listed here, like pronouns and all that. Like, you don't need that. We do actually have a template that you can take a look at, download, and use. The template does not have all this information, but again, when we think about the impact and who the Seeds program is actually serving, and when we talk about underrepresented students in our field, we want to basically broaden that tent, like cast that net as wide as we possibly can. That's all part of being, an inclusive program. So the chapter certification, again, is just the name, who filled out the form, and that you agree that the information that you're giving us is true. That's it. That's all it needs to be in good standing with Seeds. You're required to submit this in the fall term. So again, this deadline was supposed to be in October. We're extending it to December. So as you see on the website, it will be December. The next report, which would be due in the spring term, is the activities. Now, this is going to be due towards the end of the academic year because, again, we want to measure the impact of what our chapters have done. Now, what we asked is basically what you just did at the beginning of the call, is little bullet points as to what activities you hosted. If you happen to have the number of participants at each of these activities, that would be amazing. But I'll tell you, take a look at what the form looked like. Again, we try to keep this as simple as possible. So same thing, chapter contact, email, all the good stuff. If Instagram or any of your accounts have changed, this is just an easy way for us to update it and, be able to share as much information as we can with as many people in our community as we can. This is at the end of the academic year. So then some of these roles might change. So this one's a little bit more involved than the first roster report. So you'll have primary advisor, co-advisor, student representatives, all the good stuff that we need, and then a list of all the chapter activities. You can also upload documents. Pictures are encouraged. I would love to be able to share a newsletter amongst the chapters and share what people have been up to, what these grants funded, and post pictures because pictures make clicks and people love pictures. So any photos or relevant documents, please add those. And then, of course, the chapter certification, which is one of the chapter leaders, will be able to basically say that the information provided was true. And that's basically it. We really do try to keep these reports as simple as possible. Those two forms is what keeps you active in good standing with Seeds for years on end, as long as you keep that leadership baton being passed. A few things that I also want to mention about the reports. And if you go to start the Seeds chapters, we do have a really awesome handbook. So this link right here is gonna basically, it's It's a little guide to be able to run your student organization on your campus and be as flexible as you possibly can for your institution. Again, historically, we just passed 125 institutions that have held SEES chapters throughout our 27, going on 28 years now. It's really amazing to think about that, that we've had that big of an impact throughout our history. But in reality, again, a lot of these chapters could have been kept running had there been that next generation of leaders. So there's a few things that we want to do throughout that, and I'll talk about what's coming up in 24 for you to develop that. But that's it for the chapter reports. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Fred, it's Jaspreet. No questions, but a quick comment.
Sure.
So, to my fellow chapter leaders, what I would recommend in order to make your chapter report at the end of the year a lot easier, you may already do this, but if you all have like a Google Drive that all your officers can upload pictures to from events, take pictures of any sign-in sheets, try to collect as much of that information throughout the year as you can, so that when May comes and you have to do that big report, plus finals, plus whatever else happens at the end of the school year, you just go to like one spot, and then that way you all can even like split it up. You can have like, okay, Vice President, you're doing everything, you're reporting on things we did in October, and then you like compile that document together. I think it makes it a lot easier, especially if you're doing little things throughout the year. Just have a system for your campus chapter to keep that organized throughout the year. It'll make it a lot easier at the end. Okay, that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kavana Gadet. I'm from Virginia State University, and I came in a little late because I'm just now knowing about this. Is there any way that I could get the recording from the meeting?
Yeah, so thank you for joining, by the way. If you get a chance and if you have access to the chat, there's a Slack group that was posted with a link. The recording of this meeting will be posted on the Slack group after it's hosted on our YouTube channel, but we don't make that public. So we use the link on YouTube to share it with whoever has the link on the Slack group. But thank you, Jazz, for posting the Slack group link right there. But yes, this is being recorded and it is going to be shared with the rest of the SEEDS community.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions about reports?
I had a question about the grant. So is there like a certain time frame in which we're supposed to use it up, or just like in the next couple of months is okay, or what is a good date for that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We try to keep it within that academic year. So say if you would get the grant, like the money needs to be used by the end of the academic year. So it would be late spring next year. And again, if you would need an extension, that like this is something that happens with grants, you know, say that you plan something for a weekend and weather did not permit, you know, event was canceled. We understand that it would need to be rescheduled sometimes months ahead. So we're flexible. Alana.
I had a question about the grants as well, not about the reports, but is there a limit to like the number of applications a chapter can do? Like, can you apply for the $5,000 and the $1,000 one? Is it like you can only apply for them once an academic year, or?
That's an excellent question. If I'm completely honest, I don't think we've ever had a chapter submit 2 applications because they're normally like one focus, one program. I get the idea of a collaboration plus an independent program, so I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Thank you.
As chapter manager, I will say I allow that. As long as, again, very different activities. It's not trying to supplement one to make it a $6,000 event.
Yes, I would encourage you to be the first chapter to do that and set the precedent for future folks. Do it.
I have a question too, also, mostly with reporting. I'm not sure if it falls under the same guidelines, but I have had kind of a situation where we had somebody who wanted to donate to our club, and I've gone through my school's administration of like setting up our like bank account and stuff like that for the organization. But from a SEEDS point of view, like I understand that's probably, is that required to be part of reporting also? And if we are to receive donations, um, can that donor, like, is that like kind of like tax exempt for them or anything like that?
So from my understanding, again, and this would change from institution to institution, but if somebody wants to donate to like a student organization on campus, there's multiple ways to do that. If it were my chapter, like back in Puerto Rico, as an undergrad, I would say like we had a Seeds bank account that would get passed like from leadership to leadership, and we would have to once a year go and visit the bank and sit down and pass signatures on to the next leaders. But that was because our institution allowed it. I would say that a donation to the institution would definitely be tax exempt. That, again, that would be a institution administrator question on how can
And
a
so,
student organization on campus receive a donation from, you know.
well, from a Seeds point of view, that would just like we could just add that to reporting, or would it not
We
be?
don't ask for budgets. You don't have to report on how much money you're like raising, how much money you're spending. No, this is the budgets are specifically, sorry, my dog is deciding to have a fit. But this budget is specifically for the money that we provide you for the check, like for the grants.
Okay.
Chapters are run like, no, there is no, like, we don't try to do any fiscal governance by any means necessary to our chapters. So we let it be run by students and for students. So you guys develop the ideas to raise those funds, and then you find the creative ways to spend that money.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? My dog has questions. All right, I see people are joining the Slack group. Got the notices now. We are going to we have 5 more minutes on the call, but there's one more thing that we wanted to do, and that was to put you in like little breakout rooms. One of the things that we understand with Seeds is like the scope of the program is so big. Again, we have people joining us from the East Coast, West Coast, all the way to like Montana to Louisiana. So I want a little bit of networking, if that's okay. You're all part of the Greater Seeds family, and if you've come to one of my events, you know what that means to me. But I want to give you just a quick little like 5-minute little breakout room session so you guys can get to know each other. And again, just a little introduction. And there is one question that I want you, or what deliverables that I want you to like come back with, and that is, what do you want to see us, the team at Seeds now, being able to host for next term? These virtual check-ins are awesome, and we're happy to inform you as to what we're doing with our chapters and how to manage them. But ideally, we want career development ideas. You know, you want a career panel? Do you want discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion in sciences? What do you want? So that's the question. I will put you in breakout rooms here really quick. I'm going to do 3 rooms and go.
It's the breakout room yet again.
Did we just join another breakout room?
No, I think the other groups are just still talking, so they haven't come
Oh.
back yet. Do you guys have ideas for the larger seeds group? What you want to see from ESA?
Audrey, you're muted.
I was gonna say that I feel like I don't know what I don't know. So I am someone who's looking for ideas. So I feel like I can't really like contribute to like things for next year because I'm still learning about this year, but I don't know. If we have enough time and people want to talk about it, like different events that they've done, because we're still looking for like little things to do. So, and I don't know if anybody experiences like winter with snow, but it's kind of hard to plan around that sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think most of us deal with the winter that you see in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, welcome back everybody to the main room. I see we've lost a few people that I understand it's past 7. We had some great conversations and ideas shared in my group, and I hope that Jazz and Suhei, you took some notes from your groups. Here we go. Eddie's back. But one of the comments that was shared in my group was that to continue to do our seeds field trips. And with that, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I did promise that we'll keep you updated as to what's going on for 24. Our first trip that's going to happen in 24 is actually already scheduled for late February, that weekend of February 20th. This is going to be a regional field trip for a region that we're still struggling with. It was actually Tucson. We're hosting a regional field trip with the National Park Service at the Saguaro National Park in Tucson. So if you're within driving distance of Tucson, for us, driving distance means at the most likely 7 hours. That's a really long day on the road. And I want students to be safe as they travel to these experiences. But if you're within 7 hours driving distance of Tucson and are available in February, we're looking to recruit students for that experience. We'll be likely hosting 15 or 16 students. What's the big first application process that we'll look for 24? The ESA annual meeting applications, so travel awards for our ESA annual meeting, which is going to be hosted in Long Beach, California, that first week of August. Those applications are going to open by the end of January. At the same time, we'll be opening up applications for our first national field trip of 24, which is scheduled for late April. This is going to be to coastal Georgia. Funny enough that one of the chapters we're talking about a joint field trip there, because we will be going to Sapelo Island, which is an LTER and a field station managed by the University of Georgia, which means that this field trip, I get to keep you on an island for 4 days. We're going to be traveling likely to Jacksonville, Florida, driving 2 hours north to coastal Georgia, and then parking our vehicles there and taking a ferry to an island. So a lot of prep work is involved for that experience. I don't think we've never done that before. But I will say that, yeah, once we're on the island, plan B has to be on the island. We can't really be going back and forth on boats. But that's what 24 is heading up. I don't know where the location for the 2024 leadership meeting is. And likely we're looking for a location for a fall national field trip as well. So keep in mind that those are the application process. Application season is upon us. So yes, for those of you that are considering research experiences for summer of 2024, this is when we start posting those. So keep an eye out for REU experiences, NSF, like all these good sources of funding, the Texas Tech Job Board, look for these opportunities and put those on your resume as far as research goes. That being said, again, we'll open up applications for a spring national field trip and the ESA annual meeting, more or less at the same time. January, opening up applications, closing them likely in March for the ESA annual meeting, and definitely in February for that field trip. So if you have any questions, you know that you can reach us at seeds@esa.org. You can follow us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, all the other good stuff. We don't have a Snapchat. But yeah, just let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you
That's
so
only
much.
5 extra minutes of your time. I think we did a good job. Thank you so much to Jazz Jeet and Suhei for joining on the call. Round of applause for Jazz. This is the first one that she leads. She did a really
Thank
good
you.
job.
Thank you. Thanks so much for
And
being here.
yeah, we're excited to have you here. There's a long history. Here's the funny thing is both of currently all of the Seeds team used to be in your spot. We're all Seeds alum. We all participated in Seeds as an undergraduates, and we still share that to this day. So welcome to my family. Welcome to the Seeds family. And I look forward to hearing from all of you and your ideas and supporting those through giving you money, which is what science is about. Enjoy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jordan. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Jazz,
you.
Suhei, have a great evening.
You
Bye.
too.